We are very nearly at the end of Season of the Lost after being such a long season, and there hasn't really been much going on for a while now. The last actual story update I think was the start of November or the end of October, and there hasn't really been much since. But there should hopefully be the season ending within the next few weeks, and with the Witch Queen coming out on the 22nd of February. So I just kind of wanted to share my view on what I think the season will end like, and what I think the Witch Queen will actually be about. Because we have trailers and stuff, but I don't think they're really what's actually going to happen, because they're not going to give away everything in the trailer, and Savathûn is also just tricks. Like, that's her whole thing, she's just trickery. But anyway, so this year's been quite interesting with Destiny, because we obviously had Osiris turn into Savathûn due to Sagira dying and then her taking over Osiris. So we currently don't know if Osiris is actually alive or dead. I have a high suspicion that he's dead, because from the lore books that we've seen, she literally was Osiris. She was in his body, and then when she transformed into the shell, or the crystal thing, that she is now, when she got trapped in that form, she came out of Osiris' body. So I highly believe Osiris is dead. But anyway, he might not be, you never know. But the way I think it is that Savathûn clearly isn't a good person, or a good character. She obviously isn't a good person, let's put it that way. But I don't think she's entirely bad. I don't think she's a villain, let's put it that way. Because over the past year, she has got us allies such as Kydal and the Cabal, or Mithrax and the Elixni. And Crow as well can't be missed out, because without Osiris having introduced us to Crow and kind of forming this bond between us and Crow, even though it was Savathûn at the time, we probably wouldn't have this connection with Crow. And the Crow is also obviously Uldren, which is like literally Savathûn's first act as Osiris was to introduce Uldren's killer and the Crow, and to see what happens. So what I believe Savathûn is trying to do was to prepare us to fight either the Darkness or Xivu Arath, because that's what Savathûn's whole concern seems to be about, fighting Xivu Arath. And I believe she was either getting us to be stronger by giving us more allies and that whole thing, to either help us help her in fighting Xivu Arath or fight the Darkness, because she doesn't seem to be aligned with the Darkness either. The whole current situation this season is obviously that Mara and Savathûn have an agreement that if Mara exorcises Savathûn's worm, that the loop on the Dooming City will end. And what I think is going to happen is that when we, more likely, get rid of Savathûn's worm, we will actually kill Savathûn as well. And that will then lead into Witch Queen, where she's in her throne world, but then she also doesn't have a worm anymore, so she's not controlled in that aspect. Because the whole thing with a hive is that they have to feed their worms, otherwise they will die, they'll be consumed by their worm. And by getting rid of her worm, Savathûn's no longer tied into that whole thing. So I think, if anything, Witch Queen is going to be showing us that the light isn't necessarily good, if the hive can use it. Because currently, yes, there are light bearers which aren't guardians, and they're not necessarily good people. And, you know, the Drifter, for example, isn't a guardian, he's just a light bearer, but he's also not necessarily bad, but he's also not really good. So, you know, there's definitely bad light bearers in the past, but this is an entire enemy race who are going to be wielding the light, which I think is what Savathûn is trying to show us, that the light is essentially just a weapon, the way that in Beyond Light we are learning that the darkness is essentially just a weapon. Stasis isn't a bad thing, it's just a tool. I believe that I don't think the Savathûn is a bad character. I don't think she's evil or a villain. I think she's just trying to show us that I think she's basically manipulating us for her own goals. But her goals do align to our goals, because Xivu Arath isn't good for us either. So it's kind of an ally, it's an alliance which is out of mutual interest, I guess. But I believe Savathûn is doing it in a way which is trying to show us why or show us different things, but obviously if she just tells us, we know Savathûn tricks people. She's all this trickery and she lies. Therefore, you're not going to trust her. But I think she's trying to show us this way because she's obviously the god of cunning, or the hive god of trickery even, and therefore she's showing it in her own unique way. But anyway, the season I think will end with essentially us having some sort of activity. In Astral Alignment there's that center tower, it's probably going to happen there I'd imagine, and some big fight, and it exercises her worms. Either Ras probably going to invade with her taken or whatever, then we kill them, and then after a wee while her Savathûn's worm gets exercised, then I imagine we will kill Savathûn, or Mara will kill Savathûn, because Mara said she wants to kill her. And then that'll lead into Witch Queen, with Savathûn being in her throne world. What I would love is to have a live event, and I know I feel like a broken record when I talk about this, but we've only had 2 live events in Destiny, to my understanding, and live event I will define as the Almighty approaching the tower or the Traveller healing itself, because those are events which happen in real time for everyone, no matter where they are. It happens at the exact same time for every single person, and it's an event. It's kind of disappointing, because the last one they did was at the launch of Beyond Light, and they haven't done one since, so it's been over a year, and it would just be really cool to see them do another one. And I don't know how it would work with the transition to Witch Queen, because Savathûn dying or getting her worm exercise wouldn't be this global event. You know, it's not like the Traveller healing, or it's not a direct threat to the tower. It's not like you can go somewhere and see this. It's an event that we are doing. It's a mission, essentially. So I don't know, they probably wouldn't do it with that, and there's no indication that they will do a live event. But I think it would just be cool to have some sort of live event in the future, hopefully. I don't think this season will end with one, but it would be pretty cool to have the transition with a live event over to Witch Queen. Potentially, the only way I could see it is Mars is obviously seen in the trailer for Witch Queen, one of the trailers, and therefore that means we're obviously going back to Mars. Whether or not we get an actual patrol area on Mars, or it's just a section of Mars for the intro mission, is a different matter. But the only way I could really see them using a live event in this case would be to show the unveiling of Mars into its current form, because it must have had some change after being darknessified. So I imagine that's what it's going to be. If there is a live event, I imagine it'll be unveiling Mars. But I highly doubt there actually will be a live event, unfortunately. There's been no indication that there will be, but I guess we'll just wait and see. So maybe they've learnt from keeping the emblem in the API or in the game before it's been unveiled. But anyway, so that's about it. I think the season will probably end with just Savathûn dying, and the whole thing with the light is I don't think she has to die in order to get the light. I think it's more a case of she obviously got dead ghosts from Crow from the spider. She's extracted light from shards of the Traveller, and obviously created her own ghosts, and therefore it's also only in her throne world, so that's probably why the light's able to be used there. But I think this is more a way of showing that the light is a tool, less so as a way of showing that you have to die in order to be worthy of the light. But I know in the trailer it shows the dead high for being revived, but I have a feeling that it's more that she's trying to demonstrate that the light is a tool, like the way stasis is a tool, as opposed to you have to be worthy of the light. I think she's trying to show us that. Well, either that, or she's trying to show us that you don't have to actually be good in order for you to be worthy of the light. But I don't really know. We'll see how it goes. That's kind of my idea. Savathûn's definitely not going to die during the expansion. That's not going to happen. If anything, I see her being an uneasy ally. And yeah, so that'll be interesting. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider leaving a like, maybe even subscribing, and please let me know what you think in the comments as well, because that would be very interesting to see what people's different views are and whether I have a completely invalid opinion. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.